Hola, muy buenas, ¿qué tal? Bueno, hoy os traigo el estreno por fin en mi canal de un pequeño documental que estuve grabando hace unos añitos en Tenerife, dando a conocer los yacimientos del Pleistoceno que tienen en sus costas. Fui invitado por el Departamento de Paleontología de la Universidad de La Laguna para conocer este rico patrimonio paleontológico que tienen allí, donde se mezclan antiguas playas y antiguas dunas con la fauna que había entonces en periodos entre erupciones volcánicas. Y es impresionante porque de repente ves unos enormes paquetes de arenisca con fósiles y de repente encima ves unas coladas de lava impresionantes, ¿no? Es uno de los pocos lugares que yo he visto donde puedes ver secuencias de vulcanismo y de sedimentación con fósiles. La verdad es que es impresionante. Tenemos tanto faunas terrestres como faunas marinas, y la verdad es que disfruté muchísimo grabando estos contenidos. Este documental se estrenó originalmente como una de las salidas de campo virtuales dentro del Paleontological Virtual Congress, un congreso paleontológico virtual en el que participantes de todo el mundo llevan sus trabajos de manera virtual y que, por supuesto, como todo congreso suele tener una serie de salidas de campo para finalizar el congreso, aquí lo que había era un vídeo para hacer una visita virtual para que todas las personas que participaron en este congreso pudieran acercarse a este rico patrimonio. Así que nada, os dejo ya con este vídeo. Desde aquí muchísimas gracias al área de paleontología de la Universidad de La Laguna, porque fue una pasada participar en este proyecto, me trataron súper bien y disfruté muchísimo con la visita. Eso sí, como se trató de un congreso internacional, el documental está en inglés. Pero bueno, no pasa nada, vamos a poner un poco el oído, hacemos un poco de listening y ya veré si con tiempo puedo ir añadiendo subtítulos. Voy a investigar estas otras opciones que tenemos para tenerlo en más idiomas. Espero que lo disfrutéis mucho. Muchas gracias y nos vemos en el próximo vídeo.
Welcome to Tenerife, a beautiful island and a holiday destination. But here, there's more than meets the eye. The Canary Islands are an Atlantic archipelago known for its high number of endemic species of fauna and flora. Its fossil record is exceptional in nature and greatly relevant due to its conservation in a geological and paleobiological context of recent oceanic and active volcanic islands, especially during the Neogene and Quaternary. Its fossil sites in their coasts are windows to the past, where we find fossils that tell us the story of life, the history of life on these islands during the Pleistocene, a story of evolution and survival between volcanic eruptions and climate cycles. The paleontology area of the University of La Laguna is promoting the creation of a Paleopark as a versatile protection figure to preserve in situ the unique paleontological information found in the paleontological sites located in the Macizo de Anaga Biosphere Reserve, where there are deposits of marine fauna in the warm geological stages and ancient fossilized dune environments. The island of Tenerife belongs to the archipelago of the Canary Islands, of volcanic origin, whose formation began about 20 million years ago, with the easternmost islands, Lanzarote and Fuerteventura, being the oldest. After a long time of accumulation of materials below the sea level, the island's aerial birth occurred at the end of the Miocene-Pliocene. The island emerged first as three independent shields. In the south, Roque del Conde, the oldest rocks, 8 to 12 million years. In the northwest, Teno, between 5 and 7 million years. And in the northeast, Anaga, around 3 to 6 million years. In this way, 3 chronologically and stratigraphically distinct islands were formed in the extreme west, east and south of present-day Tenerife Island. Then the Cañadas edifice was formed from 3.5 million years ago to 170,000 years ago in the center of the island, with a much more intense volcanic cycle, which incorporated elements in the central area of the island, which also emerged and unified the three buildings previously described into one, forming the Caldera de las Cañadas. Finally, in most recent times, 200,000 years ago, new eruptions began that would raise the Pico Viejo Teide building in the center of the island, right on the already collapsed Caldera de las Cañadas. Since the island began to emerge, it was colonized by organisms, both marine and terrestrial, and the last million of years life flourished on it. As a witness to this past, paleontological sites have remained on its coasts that are windows to the past of this island, allowing us to see which species of vertebrates, invertebrates and plants proliferated in this troubled time between eruptions, and many of those deposits are in the Macizo de Anaga. The Macizo de Anaga, in the northeast extreme of the island, has an irregular and rugged topographic profile. Due to the age of its materials, around 5.7 million years, its deep erosive processes and the dense network of dikes that cross the massif, there are numerous rocks that appear on the surface. There are a lot of steep ravines which are quite embedded in the terrain. Cliffs predominate on the Anaga coast, so there is a scarce number of beaches. However, those that exist tend to coincide with areas where the mouths of ravines are. Some beaches are made of rocks and others of black sand. In addition to its geological history, Anaga stands out for its proportion of endemic flora, for example the plant communities of the laurel forest, which appeared in the Mediterranean basin before the Quaternary glaciations. In addition, there is a great diversity of fauna that includes fish, reptiles, birds and mammals. However, the most numerous and diverse animals in Anaga are the insects. For all these reasons, in 2015, the Anaga Massif was declared a biosphere reserve during the UNESCO annual meeting, protecting a total of 48,727 hectares. In this context, Quaternary aeolian deposits constitute an important source of paleontological information due to the good degree of preservation of fossils of both vertebrates and invertebrates. Invasions of sand dunes from the sea occurred during arid periods, when the sea level dropped and the wind moved the sands towards the island, interspersing paleosols between the dune deposits during the wetter periods. The paleontological heritage of this area is mainly formed by deposits of two types: layers of sand belonging to beaches raised with remains of marine invertebrates belonging to warm periods, and, on the other hand, quaternary aeolian deposits with representation of terrestrial fauna, sometimes with alternation of these aeolian deposits and paleosoils with basaltic flows. We are in Mancha de la Laja site. The top of the studied wind deposits is covered by a layer of ignimbrates belonging to the Cañadas building. Those last volcanic activity, phase Cañadas 3, was dated by potassium-argon between 600,000 to 130,000 years. Therefore, this site is more than 130,000 years old. Two episodes of dune formation were identified, Units 1 and 2. These aeolian deposits in episode 1 contain land snail shells, ichnofossils, honeycomb cells and traces of roots, and some remains of reptiles, giant calotia and birds. The second episode of dune formation, Unit 2, consists of about 20 meters of mainly transverse organic sands. The upper limit of this unit is a paleosoil with fewer land snails than the other beds, but with marine fossils of coastal habits at its base. The terrestrial gastropod fossils associations of Mancha de la Laja are composed of 8 species, of which Napeus lajaensis and Hemicicla colarifera are currently extinct, while others also have extant representatives, such as Plutonia lamarcki, Canariella hispidula, Xerotichia espi, Pomatias levigatus, Hemicicla consobrina, and Canariella planaria. The last 3 species are the only ones that still live in the area today, while the first 2 are restricted now to a higher altitude and more humid climate. This different fauna composition suggests that today a drier, semi-arid microclimate is present, with scarce rainfall, less than 300 mm, high temperatures, 20 degrees Celsius, and a slight dispersion of herbaceous vegetation near the seacoast. We're moving now to Milan and Hober sites. They are fossil sites quite similar to Mancha de la Laja and have a similar age, at least 130,000 years old. They are Pleistocene dune deposits alternated between basalt flows. Dune and Paleosoil deposits contain fossil remains of lizards, Galotia, giant rats, Canariomis, and terrestrial invertebrates. Other ichnofossils, such as beetle nest cells, are found in large numbers, in addition to those already mentioned, honeycomb cells and traces of roots.
¿Lo ves? Es muy... Si lo comparamos...
¿Qué
Mira,
género es?
hemicicla. Y es el segundo en biodiversidad en el caso de los moluscos terrestres.
The following sites are the reflection of a warm stage, with marine fauna of temperate waters and the sea level which was higher than the current one, between 2 and 4 meters above the current sea level. This is Punta del Hidalgo site. It is a platform eroded by the upper Pleistocene sea, with sandy sediments interpreted as a sedimentary beach. This site runs a great risk of disappearing, on one hand due to its proximity to the sea, and may be eroded. Also, due to its location, its easy access adds a risk of looting or simply human destruction. Shells and marine gastropod fossils can be found here that have been dated around the Neo-Tyrrhenian, 120,000 years ago. This is Tachero site. It's an exceptional fossil site, with gravel-like sediments from a shallow marine environment from the Upper Pleistocene, also Neo-Tyrrhenian. It is one of the most diverse deposits on the island. Previous studies identified more than 100 species of mollusks, characterized by 20% of Senegalese fauna that no longer lives in the Canary Islands. Here, we can find a large accumulation of calcareous red algae, or rhodoliths, characteristic of shallow environments. Here, we can find marine fossils from a warmer climate episode with a high percentage of species that no longer live in the Canary Islands, among which the following stand out: Nucella plesisi, Planaxis lineatus, Brachydontes puniceus, Kodokia eburnean, and Patella candei. Finally, let's visit Igeste de San Andrés site. Located on the southeastern coast of Anaga, it was the first case of Pleistocene marine deposits in Tenerife with warm water fauna. Here we can find the guide fossil Tetistrombus latus, also found in the Costa del Draguillo sites. The basaltic volcanic levels of the ancient Anaga complex are covered by terrestrial deposits. Fragments of different species of marine bivalves and gastropods can be found among the conglomerates. The number of fossils of marine organisms demonstrates the high energy depositional conditions of this environment. Every paleontological site in the Macizo de Anaga Biosphere Reserve is a non-renewable resource with great risk of disappearing, given its proximity to the sea and easy access in some cases. We must discover more about each site to preserve and protect them, since they are a part of the history of the Earth from which we still have much to learn. They are the reflection of great global changes that contribute to knowledge as a fundamental piece to understand what happens in the present. The figure of the Paleopark is considered as another barrier of protection on the paleontological heritage and the biodiversity that surrounds them, allowing its conservation, monitoring, study, and controlled enjoyment. This Paleopark will contribute to the development of the Macizo de Anaga Biosphere Reserve Action Plan, reassessing the paleontological resources and encouraging economic and human development of the area from a sustainable sociocultural point of view, by creating new cultural resources with 3D methodologies. We invite you all to come to our wonderful island and visit our rich paleontological and natural heritage.